Right then, 2 wins for New Zealand in their 2 opening games of World Cup 2023 in a convincing performance yet again. Was there ever any doubt in their ability to swat aside the minnows, so-called Netherlands? And they've done that in some style, guys. 99-run win. My name's Avnish Hegde, and of course, you're joining us in this post-match review on cricket.com with Somesh Agarwal and Gurkirat. Guys, what a game of cricket. Really not, right? So...
So, how many games have we done with? 6.
6.
I'm still waiting for a game wherein the contest is close and maybe there is something where you want to stick around for 100 overs.
I mean, it's just another boring game, Gurkirat. What do we do about these games? Do we just accept it part of life? Theek hai, dead rubbers, hoga. It's okay. It's part of the tournament.
See, they would be there, but I think in these games where you have the likes of Netherlands, you really can't hold it against Netherlands because they've not played a lot of ODI cricket post that qualifier. And I don't know. I was just, arey yaar, this internet, it went. So I was just talking to someone that,
Wow, we heard
maybe
that,
if
by the way.
Zimbabwe were there. Sorry?
Yeah.
We heard that, but go
Maybe if
on. Make
Zimbabwe
it almost slowly.
maybe if Zimbabwe were there, they could have contested better because they were pretty much the best batting side or among the better batting sides in that qualified tournament. But you can't grudge Netherlands their success in that qualifier. They were very good. But yeah, this game has just panned out just the way we discussed in the preview. That left arm spin is going to be an issue. Lockie did not get wickets. Lockie did not get wickets, but he was tough to score against. And yeah, I just hope, and this is something that I'd spoken about in the Asia Cup as well, that teams like Afghanistan and Netherlands, for them to chase is a really difficult ask, regardless of how flat the wicket might become in the second half. So I think they're better suited to probably win the toss, bat first, unless the pitch is really going to change so much that there's a genuine case of losing half your side in the first 15 overs with the ball swinging around. If the conditions are like today, they might as well bat first, try and get to a total of 250, 270, and maybe then put the pressure on the opposition, because Colin Ackerman and Scott Edwards, the two guys who actually got in, they were batting well, but they just fell to the scoreboard pressure. And it was always coming with the number of chances that they were taking. And you can't fault them for taking those chances because they were chasing a high score. So I just hope that the next game that Netherlands play, they look to bat first.
Yeah, it's a good
No,
point that you mentioned, Gurkirat. Go on, Som.
Gurkirat mentioned Lockie Ferguson going wicketless there. By the way, this is the first time ever he has gone wicketless in a World Cup game.
Oh, wow, that's a fun fact. Plenty more fun facts to come your way in the next 20 minutes or so. Keep your comments coming through and like this particular stream as well. Now, of course, you guys must have missed the game, I'm guessing, because it's a Monday and everyone has lives. But look, this is the summary and how it's turned out to be. 322 for 7 is what New Zealand got. They were inserted in by Netherlands. Remember, Netherlands have had the luck of the coin. Not once, but twice. They have chosen to bowl, like I said, on both occasions. But as you can see over there, lots of talking points from a New Zealand perspective. Will Young, who missed out in that opener, got a first ball duck, remember, against England. He went on the top score, 70 of 80. Latham getting a good, valuable 50 in the middle order. And not to forget that man again, Rachin Ravindra, 51, run a ball over there. And as you can see, and Gurkirat mentioned rightly so, it was just always going to be a Herculean task for the Netherlands. Let's just, of course, refresh your mind about the points table as well, because Netherlands are the only team who, of course, have played 2 and 2 defeats. But New Zealand, look at their net run rate, and that will definitely be something to talk about going forward in this one. So, Som, is it something that what Gurkirat said? Because I know Netherlands still have, 7 more games. Should they change their modus operandi? Because they won the tosses and they've gone chasing, but they should be better off batting first, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, can't say from here, of course. But the point that Gurkirat made is about them being able to be in the game a lot more, because like we discussed in the preview, I mean, Netherlands ideally would be wanting to chase around 240, and today as well we saw them fizzle away for around 220. Had the target been 260, probably obviously they would have batted a little differently and would have been in a game a lot more. But maybe after now they've tried chasing in 2 games. Maybe it's time for them to sort of they can't shuffle the pack in so much in terms of their players. So that's now the only thing left to try is maybe try and bat first and see if they can put opposition under pressure, even with a middling total.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the 8-day break, Gurkirat. I'm looking at their fixtures. They next play on the 17th of October. So is that a good thing or a bad thing that they can actually reflect, introspect, and come back in a week's time?
It could be a good thing in the sense purely talking from conditions point of view, that the pitches might just turn out to be slightly slower. Now, if the pitches turn out to be slightly slower, it makes even more sense to bat first, right? That change in terms of conditions while batting second may not be as much, so that might help them. If I'm not wrong, they're playing next game at Dharamshala,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
the last game that happened in Dharamshala, the pitch did not behave like the way we expected it to be. Right? There wasn't much swing; it was too paced. Tomorrow we'll get a better idea of how the pitch is behaving, so that might just help them. And yeah, who knows, if one big team drops points, then the onus will be on that team to try and beat Netherlands by a big margin or something, and that could make that opposition do funny things. And that, if it comes to that, who knows, there might open a window of opportunity somewhere for Netherlands to try and sneak in something and get into a position where they can probably try and eke out a win. But I really feel that batting second, that they will not be able to do it, because anything over 250 right now is a huge task for them.
you
Indeed, it
know,
was.
Netherlands' next game is actually against South Africa, so a revenge game of sorts. And South Africa will anyway try to score plenty of runs.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a good one. Remember, they did beat South Africa in the T20 World Cup. And let's see if it's a repeat of that. Aditya Vikram, Greg K, good to see you. Greg, remember, you called correctly in the preview. You said, 320 plus, so you got that right. And let's, of course, break it down further with the boys by, of course, breaking it first with a top performer. Right, top performer, no prize for guessing because the man of the match is Mitch Sant. Now, Gurkirat, you were saying in the WhatsApp group he has a chance to get the quickest fifer in World Cup history. Is that true?
No, I said he had a chance to take a fifer, and 7 wickets in 2 games so far. Uh, if you remember, I called him, as someone who could be New Zealand's MVP, and
Yeah.
today was a good example why. Uh, even though the pitch wasn't as sticky because he was bowling in the second innings, but you look at those dismissals, got maxed out with a slider. Then he knew that Colin Ackerman will try and reverse sweep him. In fact, he got 2 wickets like that. Even got Rolf van der Merwe that way. So tried to bowl quicker over there and did not allow them that room. And when he figured out that Scott Edwards is also going to come after him, just pulled his length back slightly, deceived him in both the flight and off the pitch. So good wickets over there. You could not say that he was a one trick bully in this spell. He got wickets in different ways, and that is something that I was harping on in the preview, that if Santner comes off well, you know, we know about his skill, but he's still not as celebrated as a left arm spinner. So this could be the ideal opportunity for him that way. So New Zealand would be very happy that Santner has got these wickets. I also thought that Ravindra bowled a little better than what he did in that last game. Last game, I felt he was bowling slightly quicker. Today there was some pace variation. So good signs for New Zealand overall. And like you mentioned, they've already started to tick off that net run rate box. One more win, then New Zealand are actually looking at 3 wins from the next 6 games, and that is a very very comfortable position to be in if they win their next game.
And they
Actually,
can look.
their
Yeah.
next 2 games are against Bangladesh and Afghanistan, both in Chennai, by the way. But I mean, who knows? New Zealand can be 4-0 up in no time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was just going to mention that, Som, but he's mentioned a good point there, Gurkirat Somesh. The fact that he's already on 7 wickets. Before the tournament started, we were thinking, yeah, Adil Rashid, Kuldeep, these are the kind of guys who'll probably be amongst the highest wicket takers. Where would you put him in the pack in terms of finishing this competition? Is potentially a highest wicket taker. So,
Actually, this will be surprising, but uh, not a lot of people actually felt that Mitchell Santner would be among the wickets, because lately he has not been among the wickets. And New Zealand as a team in the middle overs have not been a very wicket taking side. So this is a change. but a good change for them and a very New Zealand-like thing to do. I mean, conditions change हुई है. They need someone to pick wickets in the middle overs, and all of a sudden, Santon has put his hand up and picking wickets. And today, it's not just him picking wickets; it's also him scoring crucial runs. We would come back to it. I mean, I just have a few pointers to make towards how Netherlands did towards the end. But regarding X Factor, I feel we need to call out Rachin Ravindra again, because now he scored close to 200 runs in the competition, and he is playing with a control percent of 95. I mean, who would have thought? He's essentially playing as an all-rounder, but here he is just setting the platform, laying the platform for his team 2 games in a row. So I think his contribution was also very vital.
Okay, just on the point of Santner and some trivia, I'm going to put you guys in the spot here. Can you name the other 2 left-arm spinners with fifers in World Cups, guys?
Easy,
One is Shakib. He got it versus Afghanistan.
That is Yuvraj.
There is Yuvraj. But well done to Santner, because he joins Daniel Vittori in terms of the most ODI fifers for New Zealand. And I think the best bowling returns for New Zealand in World Cups as a spinner. 5 for 59, Mitchell Santner today stands tall. More stats available on the cricket.com platform, so check that out. And there's another stat, so left-arm spinners in World Cup 2023 so far, 110 overs, 23 wickets at an economy of 5.3. Is that a trend that we need to keep attention to?
See, most of these wickets have been taken against a right-hand heavy side. Yesterday, what happened with Australia, with literally they don't have anyone to choose from. After Warner, they're pretty much a team of right-handers, because even Alex Carey is struggling against left-arm spinners. And today, we knew it. Once Vikramjit Singh was out, you had Mitchell Santner coming on to bowl immediately. But in a team of right-hand, if your team is sort of skewed towards righties, it's inevitable. And I also feel that there are actually quite a lot of left-arm spinners going around than off-spinners. So that is also a case. I mean, in terms of more off-spinners are batting all-rounders, but more left-arm spinners are bowling all-rounders. So that is also a reason which is contributing to this.
You agree, Gurkirat?
Yeah, I mean, that point about facing more right-handed batters definitely helps, and it's just uh, it's a thing with even left-arm pacers, even the straighter ball, which will not do anything. It just creates that doubt with that angle. Most left-arm spinners will come around the wicket to right-handers, and even if the ball just holds it line, you are if you're not picking it from the hand, then you are dependent upon the pitch to decide whether the ball will come in or will hold its line, and that slight indecision could many a times just bring about your downfall. So I think there are only a few teams that don't have a left arm spinner. I think England's one right now, and Australia's the other one who don't have a left arm spinner, and who if they miss out on the on the semi-final spot because of this, it would be really funny to see what changes do they bring in post the World Cup.
And it's an important point you mentioned, because we saw it with the India-Australia game as well, how Jadeja set up Smith, and even for someone like Smith, he, of course, couldn't see the one which was going past him. Lots of comments coming through, of course, but let's just finish up by, of course, asking the boys the turning point of this game. I know it's obviously a dead rubber, so there's no turning point, but if we have to speak about it, they started really well. I'm saying winning the toss, fine, they wanted to put New Zealand in. The first 3 overs, maidens, right? So where did the game get away from the Dutch, Som?
I think, see, this in such a one-sided game, there is no turning point, so to speak. But I felt that there were 2 places where this game actually just drifted away from Netherlands completely. One is their fielding. I mean, you would expect a team like Netherlands to be better than that, but the fielding was nowhere near the mark needed at this in this tournament. I mean, you are basically one among the top 10 teams in the world, so you need to be fielding better. Second thing that I really felt weird was in the last 10 overs, they actually had the opportunity to cut New Zealand by at least 40 runs, if not more. You saw Arendar picking wickets. And I just want to point out a couple of stats. Now, Mitchell Santner, in death overs, his strike rate against pace is 132, strike rate against spin is 97. Even Tom Latham, his strike rate against pace is 150, and his strike rate against spin is 120. Now, there is a caveat. spinners usually bowl at the death only when the conditions suit them, and hence you see that the strike rate is lower. But today, conditions were actually suiting them, and I just felt that at that point of time, Netherlands should have had Colin Ackerman bowling. They just went with the set template of the decided death bowlers that they had, and they maybe leaked a few more runs. Then probably they could have restricted to New Zealand to around 280 to 290, and this is where I felt that those extra 40 runs completely killed the game for Netherlands.
Does that go down on Scott Edwards and his tactical nous, Gurkirat? Because, like he mentioned, Ackerman just 4 overs done for 28. Aryanda did bowl out, but you see where Somesh is coming from, I'm guessing.
See, it'd be slightly harsh to put it completely on him, because you have to understand that this is probably the first time Scott Edwards is playing in India.
Mm-hmm.
So he wouldn't have really thought something like this could work, because the, spinners bowling in the death is not something that is going to work in the UK. It's your default option is to go for pacers. So it's just something that he'll learn on the job with experience. So I don't want to be harsh on that. In fact, we have seen subcontinent captains don't go for spinners in the death, even despite playing their entire life in the subcontinent, just because captains in general and think tanks in general are so fixated with the conventional line of thought. So it would be very difficult to actually blame Scott Edwards for this.
Okay, let's.
An early call, but as the tournament is going and as what I've seen so far, I won't be surprised if moving forward in this tournament, spinners are actually used a lot more in the death, because we already have seen people questioning how soft the ball is going, and then if you have spinners bowling at the death and them slowing it down. Yesterday we saw when Ravindra Jadeja reduced his pace, he was far more impressive. Today, all the wickets that Saitner got were actually deliveries that were slower than his usual pace. So if that continues, I think you would see a lot of teams opting for bowling spinners at the death. This may also mean that they might start picking extra spinner. Let's say if New Zealand go on to the next game in Chennai, they might actually think about resting Ferguson and bringing in East Sodhi, and still find enough balance to bowl in all different phases.
Next
But
game they should anyway be doing that, given how Bangladesh have a few number of left-handers in the 11. I think next game, in the next two games in Chennai, New Zealand
Yeah.
should not really think about it a lot and just play Ish Sodhi, and just try and kill the game over there with their bowling itself.
I'll take some comments coming through right now. But before that, Som, you mentioned that teams will obviously just be inclined to play more spinners. But then some venues that we've seen this World Cup, would you base it horses for courses, or would you just be like, you know
Of
what,
course, of course, of course. I mean, we've already seen Chennai do Chennai things. Hyderabad today turned. Dharamshala, you never know. Shakib was a handful. We really need to see how the deck at Delhi holds up. So far, we have not seen games in Pune, Mumbai, and Kolkata. Mumbai and Kolkata are actually very important because those are the venues which will hold semi-finals as well. So horses for courses will go on. I'm just saying that I won't be surprised if that happens.
Okay, food for thought. That remember, our Earth is best is saying. I feel like this time it's a New Zealand versus India final. Let's see, man. We're still early days in, but keep your comments coming through, and of course, like this particular video and subscribe to us if you guys are new. I will, of course, pertain to some questions right now and throw them to the boys. We'll start with Aditya Vikram, because he goes on to say, "Do you think that it's better for teams like Netherlands that they divide the game into two halves, which is play the first 30 overs cautiously and then treat the rest 20 overs like a T20 game in a run chase? Is that the best way to go about their business?"
This can only be done while batting first. You can't do
Agreed.
this while batting second,
Yeah.
because there the scoreboard pressure will for and see in T20 scoring 180 runs in one in 20 overs is possible, but scoring that much in an ODI game in the last 20 is not possible. Ball has gone considerably older. For the last 10 overs, you will have five fielders outside the circle, and there's a good chance that the better bowlers are yet to bowl. And many a times in T20s, teams will only play with four bowlers. Not sometimes they will be three. No team plays with proper five bowling options in T20s. But in ODIs, you will see that there are teams playing with proper five bowling options. In India's case, or in today's case with New Zealand, There are good 5-6 bowling options. So this what Aditya is suggesting can only happen if a team is batting first, which is why I'm saying that it's important for batting light teams to try and bat first in conditions where batting is not very difficult. Because I think the idea is for them to try and bat second when the conditions have gotten better. But by then the game's completely gone out of control. That even those helpful conditions for batting are not going to help that much.
But then, so what is a Netherlands ceiling right now? Because I know they chased that crazy score against West Indies before the World Cup, 283 or whatever it was against Pakistan, 322 today. Hypothetically, in hindsight, if they had to chase 220, would they have got the job done, or do you still have your doubts?
I think anywhere close to 260, this would have been game on. Even 270, this would have been game on. While by the way they were batting, whatever they did against West Indies is more of a reflection of West Indies bowling than Netherlands batting, in my opinion. So yeah, I think 260
In
is
fact,
something that, yeah,
in
if they
fact,
bat
Baz,
first and score 260, they can actually make an interesting game out of it. If the opposition sort of loses a couple of early wickets or some mad situation like yesterday, arises.
see, there's another factor in this, that when those qualifiers were happening in Zimbabwe, it it wasn't really summers in Zimbabwe. It was summers here, so conditions were slightly cooler. So and most of them were day games. So after that early moisture had been taken out and everything, batting was getting better in the second half, and we have seen that in a lot of games in Zimbabwe, especially when it's a day game. Also, I felt, what Nikhil, what Sumesh was saying about 260, 270, it could have been changed because for the brief period that Bas Jalide batted or Teja Nidamaru batted, they looked good. Teja was run out and Bas Jalide had that very good catch by Bolt, but they still looked good. It looked like that they could time the ball well, which is why I'm saying that they should really consider batting first in one of the games and see where it takes them. If they collapse and it doesn't work out, then it's a different story. But I think they need to try that at least once.
I love how you pointed out the whole conditions difference. And Pranav, in fact, goes out to ask you boys, why don't they play the World Cup qualifiers in the same country where the World Cup's going to happen? Qualified teams who don't have much experience playing in the other countries get further weaker in foreign conditions. Is that something to think about from an ICC perspective? So you're laughing.
Yeah, in my opinion, this is obvious. This is an obvious thing to happen. Otherwise, you're just asking the qualifiers team to attend. Because I mean, this is something that we brought up in the mega preview. Netherlands, they've hardly played a white ball game in India, let alone an ODI. And it's not just applicable to them. I think Afghanistan last played a white ball game in India in 2020. If I do recall, Bangladesh last played an ODI in India in 2019. So the point
No,
is,
that
2019, I think
that was a
T20,
T.
maybe that was a white ball game. So essentially, the point is, these should have been basic common sense courtesy that should have been offered to level the playing field. But I mean, we all know that it doesn't work out that way. You hold a WTC final at a venue where there is a fair chance that neither of the two teams have played at that venue in their entire cycle.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's the point? But I think cricket में ना ये सब questions
The
पूछने का
logical thing
समय,
we don't want to do.
yeah,
But like there's that meme, no, that has come from, I think, Black Panther is that movie. We don't do that here. So it's
yeah.
it's like that. By the way, coming to Bangladesh last playing an ODI in India, I think it was in 2006 Champions Trophy. Because anytime there has been a bilateral series, ODI bilateral series between India and Bangladesh, it's been in Bangladesh. I don't think India have hosted Bangladesh for a ODI bilateral series. So I think it goes back to 2006. Because the first time Bangladesh played a test match in India was in 2016, which was the one-off test match in Hyderabad, where Virat scored that double. And then there were those two test matches with the pink ball test match and the first test match in Indore, and the second was the pink ball test match. So I think the last time Bangladesh played an ODI was the 2006 Champions Trophy in India.
Oh my word. All right, let's of course take some more questions before we wrap up. And Crazy Nicks, if you're not with us, you're always in the comments. Good to see you. He goes on to say,
यार मैं बस सोच रहा हूँ at least 2011 में वर्ल्ड कप में तो कोई गेम all their home games were at their home. So yeah, क्या बोले यार.
Their home indeed.
India versus Bangladesh was also in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
For sure. By the way, guys, we have to, of course, answer Varun Venkateshan's question. New Zealand expecting Ravindra at 3, doing wonders for their team. Similar to that, should India promote Jadeja in matches versus Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Netherlands, just to rediscover his form?
Guys, before we take that comment, I just did my research. Gurkir is correct. Bangladesh last played an ODI in India in 2006.
Oh my
This is the
word.
first time Shakib and Mushfiqur Rahim are playing an ODI in India.
That is crazy. That's a fun fact. Look, this is why you guys need cricket.com. This is why you need Gurkirat and Somesh in your life, because they'll give you hidden gems like this.
This is something podcasters will not tell you.
Won't tell you. But
Because
Gurkirat, take this question.
they're too busy talking about India games only.
The two BD figuring out which medicine Shubman Gill has been given by now and all that.
Okay, jokes apart, guys. Varun's, of course, bothering us with this comment, but is this food for thought? Jadeja? Not really, right?
uh, Again, see these. If you're talking about Afghanistan, Bangladesh, those are teams that are heavily dependent on spin bowling, so may not work out, and it might just bring down his confidence further. Could try this with Netherlands, but it's the last game, so I don't know if, because sometimes then the idea is that you don't want to fix something that isn't broken. So I don't know. And if you look at it, India are playing Afghanistan at Delhi, which is just 2 days after. And again, teams will try to resist doing anything fancy till the time they've not assured themselves of qualification. So yeah, I think they might just do it in the Netherlands game, but otherwise it's difficult to see that happening. Certainly not happening in the Bangladesh game. I think sorry, certainly not happening in the Afghanistan game, and I think Bangladesh is India's fourth game or fifth game. I'm not sure. Uh,
Fourth game.
is it
Fourth game
fourth
after
game
Pakistan. Yeah.
after Pakistan game? So yeah, seems difficult from that front as well, because the best case scenario is that India go into that game, winning three on the trot. Now the idea would be, might as well win this game so that we are not under any kind of pressure before we have to play the likes of England, New Zealand, South Africa. Might just secure points, because there are a few slippery games and you don't want to get into. And because if this comes back to haunt you later on, all the criticism will go to this point. Even though it is possible that India may not lose just because of that move, but we know how the outside noise is created, and how we just look to point a finger at just one thing that has happened out of the ordinary. So I think it's not going to be tried before the Netherlands game.
Let's see how that all
Yeah.
fizzles out for all the
Yeah.
teams, of course.
Yep.
Finally, guys, go on. So I'm sorry.
No, I mean, just to elaborate on what Gurkirat is saying, I just feel that this is not the time to try something for the sake of it, and definitely not to bring someone in form. This is not the tournament to now bring someone in form. If anything, I feel if anything has to be tried, it has to be tactical. And this is where I think Gurkirat, Nikhil, and I had a discussion in depth yesterday, that for India often find them 10 for 2, themselves 10 for 2, in those kind of a situation in a crunch game. And this is where maybe they can use someone like an Ashwin by preparing himself कि भाई ऐसा कुछ होगा तो you are our go to man to sort of just break the cycles. It's a free wicket, out भी होता है तो doesn't really matter. It does matter of course, but उतना भी नहीं, like I mean it's not losing Ashwin is not equal to losing Shreyas Iyer. So that I'm still okay with, because that is something done with a tactic in mind, not just to bring someone in form, because I don't think this is the time to bring someone in form.
Okay, we have just 2 minutes left on this review, and it's been an absolute New Zealand's day out in Hyderabad. Speaking of them, so when Gurkirat, it's a blessing in disguise that Kane Williamson hasn't played this World Cup, and you guys mentioned it. Two more easy fixtures come their way in Chennai, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. If you guys
I'm
see
not
it
I'm not I'm not calling that Bangladesh fixture in Chennai an easy one,
at all,
because there's a good possibility. I think Mehdi Hassan is going to come back, because he did not play the last game. And I don't know if the pitch allows for it, if Bangladesh read the pitch correctly and the pitch turns out to be anything like it was in the India Australia game, they could also bring in Nasu Ahmed. So that means four spin bowling options. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really call it a straightforward game for New Zealand, especially
Yeah,
if Bangladesh especially if
even
Bangladesh, sorry.
no, finish off.
Yeah, especially if Bangladesh bat first, because Bangladesh batting first and getting that kind of pitch, they'll feel like they're playing in Dhaka or Chattogram. So
Mm.
I won't really, say that it's an easy fixture by any stretch of imagination.
Yeah, even Mustafizur will be a handful on that wicket if it's the same wicket or a similar sort of a wicket.
Those cutters indeed. Tom Latham, by the way, some post-match presentation by saying that look, we are going to be not too far away from seeing our full squad available. So let's see if Kane Williamson does play that, or they still rest him for that. By the way, lots more questions coming through, but they're not pertaining to these two games. So apologies, I'm not going to take them. I will give you a shout out, Ansu Cricket Podcast. If you're still watching us, do like this particular stream, and of course, we will answer all of this in the preview tomorrow at 9:55 because it's a double header, the 10th of October. So be there. And of course, even Varun Venkatesh, I know you want to ask Paji this. So Paji, please give me a 1 second or 5 second bite about this.
No, they missed the left arm spinner because Maxwell bowled well. They did not really miss line. If anything, you could argue that was there a case for Australian selectors or Australian team management to try and pick Matt Kuhneman, who was here during the BGT and had played in Sri Lanka. I think it was 2022. Because just two spinners is not going to help it, and certainly not against India where there are so many right-handers. So what they missed was probably a left-arm spinner, and not really Nathan Lyon because Maxwell bowled well.
Maxwell did
Yeah.
bowl well, but
So
of course,
before we end, I added one more player in my list of reviving their career of sorts. I said number three is a little too high for Colin Ackerman, and he turned out to be the best batter for Netherlands on the night. So I think you can add that to the list of Shanto, Remacha, and now Colin Ackerman.
super. And add this to your list as well, guys, because our CDC is chasing a better option now that Dew is making an impact in teams bowling second. This was clearly a dry pitch, but it helps spinners more in the first innings. Remember, this segment is going to be cherry picked certain questions. It comes from Diota9 to be particular. So we'll end it with this question, guys. What do you guys feel? Is chasing better an option now that Dew is making an impact in teams?
I think
It's going to become Dew is going to become a more and more bigger factor as we go deep into the tournament because winters will start setting in. But I want to see how much Dew has been there, and are the organizers going to go for those spray which prevents from or lessens the impact of Dew. So we'll have to see.
You agree? So,
yeah, I mean, wait and watch. Let's see, because we are trying to make a case of teams trying to bat first, but this is the other way around. Let's see. It'll depend from venue to venue.
yeah, honestly, it is so many games, but it'll be fascinating, and we're going to bring it all for you guys in cricket.com. Follow Gurkirat and Somesh on their respective Twitter handles. Those guys always tweet, and they're like, honestly, some hidden gems like you guys have heard in this review show. That's all we have time for in this one. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, tomorrow morning, 9:55 is when the preview starts for the England-Bangladesh game. It's a double header, followed by, of course, who's playing in the afternoon, gents? Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Hyderabad. We'll be doing fan camps for that as well. So lots to look forward to on a terrific Tuesday. Until the next time, it's a goodbye from us. See you soon. Like and subscribe if you're new. Rukirat, your final word.
Just in case, if you come across any Pakistani cricketer, just don't ask them how the biryani was. They're tired of answering this question. Let's not be like any other portal out there. Ask them cricket questions.
I'll ask them the shawarma. Maybe something else as well. On that tasty note, it's time to order dinner and room service, I guess, and leave it to you guys. Thanks for watching. It's goodbye from us.